thanks for watching Bell to Bell's VIP Boxing's Bell to Bell podcast. We're on episode 142. That's about 71 hours if you listen to every single one. That's a lot to listen to Jonathan, particularly. Oh, the guest might have been enlightening for you. Yeah, if you're watching on YouTube, great. iTunes, Spotify, leave us a review, and it helps those media monsters sort of push us up their charts or whatever it is. I'm not up with how that works. John's a bit more qualified on that than me. You know me, Steve. You know John Evans. And hey, tonight's guest, a boxer, it's fair to say, who's been reborn since changing gyms and moving to super middleweight. Brad Rea. Brad, thanks for coming on.
No worries, mate. Thanks for having me. I love coming on. So yeah, glad to be back.
Well, first of all, you're at super middleweight now. Two really impressive displays. You've changed gyms. What's been the secret to the turnaround? Not turnaround. You only lost once. That's the wrong word, isn't it? Turnaround to have bounced back as well as you have.
I don't know. I'm just enjoying the fresh change again, mate. And it's it's just something new. And the training that I'm doing with Andy, in Blackpool, it's so different to anything I've done before. So I've got that excitement driving to the gym. I'm looking forward to training again, and I feel like I'm learning all the time. I feel like I'm picking up new stuff, and like you say, didn't have kind of the best 12 months, but back on track now. 2 good wins, and hopefully going to be a big year this year.
Yeah, we'll talk about boxers changing trainers later in the pod as one as your topics. Well, I understand from, I don't know when, or you might not be able to say when, but I think Steve said a couple of weeks ago he thinks your next fight will be on a boxer show. You'll be back on Sky.
Yeah, hopefully that's what I've been told. I've had two now on Steve's shows back on the small hall, and I've been working hard, kind of quietly, and I've not been on social media much. I've not been posting much. I've not, obviously living in Blackpool now, I've not been out seeing much. I've not been at boxing shows, but I've been putting the work in, and I think I'm ready to kind of come back and show people what I've been doing now.
Have you said then you feel like you're learning new things and you never trained like it, Brad? Have you noticed that in the ring? Have you noticed for things you've been working on and the way you've been doing it translate into the ring?
Yeah, definitely. I think with my 2 fights, the stuff that I've been doing in the gym, and I've been, Andy was saying he's happy that I'm trying to get it off in fights, but it's working, and I just think I'm thinking differently when I'm in there. I think I'm seeing a lot bigger picture now, which is down to kind of training with Andy and training with the lads. It's like it's a new style for me, and it's a new way of thinking when I'm in there with an opponent in front of me. But I'm enjoying it. Like, it's been challenging, but I'm enjoying the challenge.
Quick, and before we start, what have you made of the middleweight move-ins then at the minute? Because we've had Heaney pulled off for shock against Denzel, Tyler Denny, European champion. What have you made of the middleweight?
Yeah, it's an exciting. It always has been middleweight. It always has been. That Heaney win was one of the best performances I've seen. From a British boxer that I can remember. Recently, it was a massive win. Obviously, Tyler picked up the European, which makes me look a little bit better now, doesn't it? But yeah, it's booming the middleweight division. But again, I've jumped straight into a massive division as well. Super middleweights. I was looking down the rankings the other day, and I just thought there's some big fights here. And like I said, I think I've kind of been swept under the carpet a little bit, but I think sooner or later I'm going to be in that mix with them all.
Brilliant. Well, we'll press on now. John, Bradley talked about 3 minutes on each topic. John, have you got your clock? And we'll try and keep exact this week for a change on this, I think, shall we?
That rules, boss, is it? That I've got to be on 3 minutes, have I?
Yeah, we always say that. We never are. But far away, round one, John, you start us going, and Inoue rolling on.
Yeah, we didn't talk about Inoue last week because he boxed on Boxing Day, didn't he, against Tapales, and became the undisputed champion at Super Bantam. And he's jumping straight in with maybe the most dangerous challenger, Lewis Neary. You know, there's no messing about with Inoue, is there? It's just challenge. If it's not a belt holder, it's the most dangerous challenger. I'm overjoyed as well that he's staying at super bantamweight, because I have a bit of a soft spot for long reigning champions. You know, people who set the stall out to be the best in my division and do it for as long as they can. So I hope Inoue hangs around for a little bit. But the Tapales fight was actually really good, wasn't it? Tapales did well. He was a good challenger. He gave him plenty to think about. But as always, Inoue worked it out, got the stoppage. And I think Crawford's got to be number one, because I've never seen him come close to losing. But Inoue might just be my favourite fighter on the planet.
Yeah, I agree with you there, John. Inoue is my number one to watch. I just love watching him. I love everything about him. I think his balance and his footwork, like he's always in a position to let a power shot go, and that, like, with the combination of being such a big puncher, it's just so exciting, because you can put anyone's lights out at any point.
Yeah, you know what? I think I don't like using this word, but we use it. I mean, I like using it. I'll still use it when we use this word "fun fight." It's not fun in there, is it? When you're having a fight, you enjoy yourself, but you're only going to stop and turn over the top rope and say this is fun for somebody. But you know what? Him against Neary is the fight that's good. He might get Neary out the way quicker than Motley has been Butler, but he's going to be in a fight for 2, 3, 4 rounds. And then I think he'll just, as you say, can take him out one shot, and that's it. But you look at him, you talk about long reigning champions, John, and it's great that someone isn't just jumping up the weights for the paydays. You look at it, it was almost like when Lomachenko turned over, but after he lost that early fight and grew from, learned from that, knew what it was like to have a hard, long distance fight. The only thing that will beat him, I think, is going through the weights. That's all I can see at the moment. Or if Father Time catches up with me and some young super bantam comes along. That's all I can see.
He's nearly 30, isn't he? So I assume he makes an absolute fortune in Japan, I assume. You need to make a fortune in Japan to live well over there. It's expensive. But I can't see him chasing money and going too far. But if he goes to super featherweight, it might just be a little bit too big for him.
That's the only way I see him getting beat, if he jumps up to a weight where, he is just too small. I can't see him getting beat any other way.
Neary's banned in Japan, isn't he?
Yeah, but they'll get over that. Yeah, but
get around that somehow. Yeah.
Yeah, they wouldn't have announced the fight if they're going to. I saw something last week about why the ban's going to be lifted and what have you, even though it's an indefinite ban from the Japanese Commission. They do some weird bans over there. Who was the families there? But there was a fighting family there recently, and I think the dad got banned from.
Yeah, the Kameda brothers,
media from going in a corner. They do like a ban. They're a bit serious, those Japanese. My
little favourite, one of my favourite ever fighters, Daigo Higa, the little tank.
Oh yeah.
He virtually got banned from the sport because he missed weight once. That was it.
Yeah, they don't mess around in Japan. They're serious people. They're respectful, but they're serious. But there you go. Anyway, round 2. Brad, you're going to kick us off here. The dream fight, Beterbiev Bivol.
I think this has got to be the topic after Saturday night. That's the fight to make in boxing. It's the number 1 fight. I think after Crawford Spence, he's got that out of the way. That's been, for me, the most exciting potential fight that can be made. I know you've got Fury Usyk, but I think Bivol Beterbiev. I think that's the fight to make. And I think after the Canelo win, I swayed towards Bivol. And now I'm on Beterbiev. I just don't think you can, no matter how good of a boxer you are, Bivol's great feet, great range, you can't keep him off for 12 rounds. There's no way you can keep that man off for 12 rounds. He's going to get you at some point.
You know what? I wouldn't be shocked if Bivol not stole the fight, because he does take rounds off Beterbiev. Whether he will do that against Bivol, I still fancy Bivol. But what tells you it's such a great fight is that people change their minds so much. When Bivol beat Linden the other week, okay, it wasn't an edge of your seat thriller. But everyone was saying no one beats him at 175 pounds. He's just too good a boxer. Beterbiev goes and demolishes Callum Smith the other night, and it's no one beats him. He's too powerful. the same sort of echoing the same sentiments as you did, Brad. I just hope this fight happens now. So when did they both win world titles? 2017, around that. So it's been 6 years now as world champions, and it's one you don't want to happen in 18 months down the line. It is one of these now, because they've been champions quite a long time.
Yeah. I just like Brad. I just wonder if, as good as Bivol is, can he put a dent in Beterbiev? Can he make him worry about coming in? Because if you can't, he's going to beat you, isn't he?
I think that's it. I don't think Bivol hits hard enough to have his respect, and I think Callum Smith is an absolute monster puncher in his own right. And with all due respect, he hit Beterbiev Saturday night, didn't make a dent, nothing, absolutely nothing. He just walked through it, and I think, like I say, over the 12 rounds, you've got someone like that in your face, walking you down, walking through your shots. You hit him with your best shot. He's in front of you. He hits you with, some of the shots that he throws. He just, like, they don't look hard. They don't look fast, but they very clearly are, and they very clearly, have an effect on who's in front of him.
Yeah, I saw people saying as well, he got dropped off Callum Johnson. That proves he's vulnerable. If you flip that on its head, if you get up off a left hook off Callum Johnson, you've got hell of
a big puncher.
I think it was Callum who was saying that, similar to what you said, Brad. I'm sure it was Callum who said to me, Callum Johnson, sure it was Callum who said to me one day that, like you were saying, it doesn't look it, but every single shot you feel, it's not decapitating you, but you're biting your gum shield with every shot that lands from him. And that must break up as well.
I've seen a video of one of his sparring partners the other day, and he said, "What's getting it off Beterbiev? What's it like?" And he said, "Well, a few years ago, I was in a bad car accident and got run over." And he said, "That's the closest thing you could say." Beterbiev was like,
horrendous. Right.
Brilliant. Well, I'll tell you what, round 3 now, sort of on the Beterbiev theme. Just looking at the Smith brothers, will there ever wonder what the chances are of a family ever coming along with them, with 4 brothers, 2 win world titles, Paul fought after Abraham, I think. Stephen challenged for the world title. Just incredible. I think Stephen won British and Commonwealth. Paul won the British Super-Middleweight twice, maybe 3 times. And Callum and Liam world champions. I just think for a family to come along and have that sort of sporting success, it's just phenomenal. They're not everyone's cup of tea. You only have to look at social media. But as John knows, I'm a big fan of them all, especially Liam. I just think, overlooked, like they're not in the mainstream like a lot of people in boxing. But for a family to have that sort of success in boxing is just phenomenal. It's coming to the end now of that side of the Smith family, the 4 brothers. Maybe Callum's got the world box on. Liam's on the home stretch now. I just think there's not enough accolades can be given to what that family's achieved in boxing.
Yeah, 100%. That's never going to happen again. No way. But there's also the fact that you had 4 brothers British champions, never mind the fact that they've gone on to kind of all win world titles or compete for world titles. But I've always had a soft spot for a lot of them, because since I was a kid, I probably fell in love with boxing watching the Contender. And I remember a few years later, Paul Smith being on the Contender, and then someone like Swift, he was up and got knocked out, Buckland.
Buckland with the left hook, I think, in the 5th round, right by the ropes there in Cardiff, one of the great knockouts.
I remember it like yesterday, this shot. I remember being a kid and being in the gym and trying to throw this shot, and like, obviously I've sparred Liam, I've done a few rounds with Callum, and for me it's just like, they're the type of fighters that any young kid in your amateur gyms you want to be like, for me.
Well, look at the amount of attention that Eubank gets with his dad. And look at the amount of attention Ben gets just for his dad, let alone 4 brothers. It's crazy, isn't it? Absolutely crazy. Look at the Azeems, the Azeem brothers. They're both very talented. But there's 2 of them, and one of them probably won't get as far as the other. So for 4 of them, like Brad said, just to win the British titles, if 4 of them won area titles, it'd be incredible.
Yeah, it would be, yeah.
Let alone British and all fighting for world titles. It's unbelievable, isn't it? And I like people that say what we think as well, and all the people say what we think.
I do. I like it when they take people to task on social media. Good luck to them. You keep doing it as well, especially Paul, because he won't give up under the social media. Anyway, round 4, John, someone who's missing in action. Abdul Wahid, the tank, whatever.
Yeah, Abdul Wahid. Where is Tank Davis? Where is he? Has anyone seen? The last I saw him was buying that row of houses in his old neighbourhood and changing his name, but I'm not interested in that. I want to see him in the mix here at lightweight and 140. And I see his Leonard Ellaby used to do with him talking on social media about how much he's getting paid and how well he's done. But his window of opportunity for carrying on earning money is just diminishing by the day. He's nearly 30, Gervonta, now. His biggest fight's been Ryan Garcia. I think every boxing fan loves watching him. He's one of my favourites to watch. I think he's a sensational fighter. But I get the distinct impression we're going to not see the best of Gervonta. We might not get to see him at his peak against these rivals he's got. The natural rivals like Shakur Stevenson and Devin Haney. That's who we should have seen Gervonta with. And I've always thought it would eventually happen, but now I'm just starting to question whether it will. Maybe Gervonta is one of these guys who Saudi money might actually draw him into the fights we want to see him in, because I just get the impression we might miss out on a super talent.
But surely, I mean, Brad might have an opinion. There's so much money for that fight. It's got to happen. You know, while they're both in their peak. We're seeing better fights at the moment. You know, Brad was just talking about Beterbiev, Bivol. There's real hope we're going to see that now.
Hasn't it?
Especially with the Saudi money and everything. Surely, His Excellency, I'm not going to call Turkey, well, I've just called him Turkey, in case we get a gig out there. His Excellency is going to make that happen. So His Excellency Turkey is running heavyweight boxing. Let's see him run the lightweights as well.
Yeah, but I think as well, like a couple of years ago, it was all boxing's dead. The best don't fight the best, this and that. And for me, especially over the last 12 months, it's all been thrown out the window, because some of the biggest fights that can be made have been made. Some fights that you never thought would happen are happening. You know, you've got Eddie and Frank Warren working together. You know what I mean? And I think now's the time for these big fights to happen. And I love Tank. I love watching him fight. But similar line to you there, John. It's a little bit like a lot of talking and not much action. You know what I mean? And it's not like you can't win these fights. These are 50-50 fights. Like, you know what I mean? Go, if you're saying this is how good you are, go and show us. But like you say, there's a lot of money flying about, and you know, when that money's put on the table, it's hard to say no for him.
Got to happen. Time.
Round 5, something we touched on at the start, Brad, topic for you, changing trainers. You know, it's worked for you, it doesn't work so for others, you know. What do you think the reasons are for both sides of the coin there?
Yeah, it's a tough one, because I think the main thing is picking the right coach for you. And, you know, when I was in the process of changing gyms and picking coach, you know, I was sat there with different coaches, different gyms would come in my head, and, you know, I'd sit down, and it's a big decision. And I think a lot of fighters, they jump into it a bit quick, and, you know, I think there's other options there that might be better suited to some fighters and better suited to their styles or what they need. You know, and it's all in my case, you know, it was Andy in the pro scene is not very well known. You know, he's not very established, but, you know, I thought he was the man for me. And, you know, I think with other fighters, it's a massive part of the career. And I think making the wrong decision, you know, it can have a big effect. But as well, I don't like seeing a fighter gets beat, a fighter changes coach, a fighter gets beat, a fighter, you know, and it seems to always be the coach's fault, and it's not always the case. But then again, from someone who's kind of you know, recently gone through it firsthand, that fresh bit of life, that change, you know, it gives you kind of a bit of a kick up the arse. And, you know, I think sometimes it's good for some fighters, but I think some fighters can jump into it a bit quick.
Yeah. Did you know Andy before you turned over? I think you did, didn't you?
I've known Andy since I was about 10, 11 years old. Yeah, so he used to come up here sparring all the time. And that's one of the main reasons with why I chose Andy. You know, I trust him. I know how good of a coach he is. I've worked with him over the years, whether it's just little bits. And yeah, you know, I've known him a long time. And now, you know, after 2 fights with him, I think I've made the right decision.
When you were weighing it up, Brad, did you take into account how many fighters are in the gym? Because I see some fighters following, almost, it seems like they're following the crowd. And the coach hasn't got enough time in a day to spend an hour with each person every day. Did you factor that in? You know, the amount of personal time you'd get?
One of the main things I factored in, mate, when I was thinking about it, you know, I felt I was in a position where I needed to change a lot. I needed a bit of one-to-one work. I needed someone in front of me telling me that, no, that's wrong, do it like this. And, you know, and it was like a big thing that I factored in, having that one-to-one and having that work with the coach who's going to be in the corner.
Yeah, some great fighters in that gym you must see every day. Well, when you're not having the one-to-ones and you're all out together. I mean, Levi Barnes, we were talking about him last week on it. Special talent, isn't it?
Yeah, you know, the first time I was going down, and you know, I was travelling up from Manchester at first, and I was driving home to Manchester, watching Levi and Thomas and Jake, and I was just like, these like 18, 19-year-old kids, and I was just thinking like, I am absolutely pony. Like, I thought I was like a good fighter. I was driving home thinking like, I'm shit, me. These kids are like showing me up in the gym. But you know, I think eventually I've got there. Probably from watching them, I'm just trying to be like
them. Brilliant. Well, I'll tell you what, final round, we were going to have another subject. We're going to change it because it was something we were talking about before we started recording. The Saudi dollar. And John, you were saying about, you know, Gavin Gwyn's going there to fight Mark Chamberlain. And you're worried, aren't you, that we're going to lose a lot of fights here and we might just become a You're Called Special on BT or TNT as it's called and other channels now on the zone?
Yeah. If like that's a really good, solid domestic head. Funnily enough, I spoke to Gavin last week and he's given up the British title and he was concentrating on getting a world ranking. He's fighting Mark Chamberlain, so money does talk. But it's taking place in Saudi Arabia. Now, that to me is a perfect Saturday night headliner. And I know the money's going to be outrageous and you can't blame the lads for taking it. But that sets a precedent where fights like that, British title fights, other lads are going to watch that and think, well, why should I take a dangerous British title fight for not that amount of money? I'll wait. And I just worry that we're going to get diluted badly Saturday night shows. Because as good as these shows are in Saudi Arabia, we need shows over here. We need Saturday night shows. And if fights like Gwyn and Chamberlain are going over there, I just wonder if it might get a little bit scarce about what we're going to get.
Hey, while the Saudis are throwing money at it, it looks like it's going to with these fights. You know, even guys who would be in good fights on Channel 5, like Lyndon Arthur, are going over there and getting great paydays to fight Bivol. You know, Elizoro, a You're Called fighter, would have got massive money the other week. You know what, John? I get that, and it will hurt the sport in this country. But these lads don't have football careers where you can earn maximum income for maybe 10 years and it's rolling in. You know, the loser of that fight has got to establish himself again. But it ain't nice establishing yourself if you've got your last fight was a 6-figure purse if it didn't go right. I'm more on the side of good luck to these fights going over there, even though I know it'll hurt the sport because it means the lads are getting well paid, and to me, that's the be-all and end-all, John. Although, you've obviously got your concerns. How would you see it, Bradley?
Yeah, I think I'm with you, Steve. You know, as a boxer, I see it like I know boxing on these smaller shows, the type of money that you're making, even when you know you're on the TV shows and stuff. It's not what people outside the sport make it out to be. It's not unless you're at that top level. And so many times you've seen lads who've had good careers, they retire in a couple of years, they skink, you know, they're on the side, they're working a 9 to 5, and if you can go out there and make the money, you know, it's who's anyone to say no, you know, go and do it. Especially a lot of these people, you know, they've got houses to pay for, they've got kids, food on the table, you know what I mean? And when you look at the bigger picture, it's there for the taking. But yeah, you know where I am.
Yeah,
Your Majesty, you've got my number.
You know what?
Put my number on the screen here. I'm ready, mate.
But as you say, Brad, your last 2 fights, I mean, you've lost a thriller on Sky. People will talk about what a great fighter, you'll come again. To get back on Sky, you've had to go away and go out and sell tickets to pay for your opponent, haven't you? Because that's how the small halls work.
Yeah. And like you say, it's a brutal sport. You know, 1 minute you're top of the world, and the next minute you're at the bottom. So if the opportunities are there, you know, I think fair play to him, because very quickly you can be an opponent in the opposite corner. You can be, you know, at the back end of your career, getting fed to some up and coming prospect. You know, and it's just the way the sport is. We all know it's the way the sport is. We all knew it was the way when we got into the sport. But you know, if them opportunities come to get life-changing paydays, like, you know, for someone who's in the position of these lads, you know, they've got to go and take it.
But it caused a situation though where there's no money in boxing in Britain, because we're not at the big enough venues. The shows aren't big enough to attract a crowd, and everyone is just treading water, earning nothing, waiting for the phone call to go to Saudi, when only a select few are going to get the call. You need good fights in order to keep the purses reasonably good for the undercard fighters, don't you?
Well, you do, but you wonder. Well, you're right, John. You are right, but you know, can you not see why some of these? Like,
no, I'm not blaming the fighters.
Gamble on weight.
Yeah,
it's like someone said to Brad, you win these next couple fights, you're not going to get a penny. But if you come through and they're both 50-50s, you're going to get the Saudi.
Yeah.
You do it.
Oh, no, I'm not blaming the fighters at all. I'm sort of blaming Mr. Turkey. Because I thought Mr. Turkey was going to be putting on the biggest fights. You know, we were just talking about Shakur against Tank. We're getting Gavin Gwynn and Mark Chamberlain. You know, I know Frank's got a big say in what goes on over there at the minute. And it might develop into that. And we do need undercards. You can't have 7 mega fights on every show, can you? But I think we've got to strike some kind of balance. I know Frank's going to be putting on like the 7 title shows, isn't he? Probably 4 or 5 times a year. And the York Hall shows are going to act as a feeder for them. So maybe we've got like a ladder system. Maybe that might work.
Yeah. Fellas, been great talking to you tonight. Brad, thanks for coming on. I know you've got to rush off training now. John and myself have got man flu, so we're going to go and film some for ourselves.
No worries. Thanks for having me again. You know where I am if you need me.
We'll get you after your next fight, mate. Anyway, when His Excellency gives you that call to go to Turkey, His Excellency gives you the call to head out to Saudi Arabia. We'll get you off. You won't.
I'll be giving it the bows and everything. If you're going doing the full shebang.
John, thanks.
Name your purse now, bro. While you're on stream, name your purse for fighting Yanni back in Saudi.
I'm there, me.
You know, these British fighters are getting opportunities now.
Pack of Jaffa cakes. And, I'm easy, mate. Just want the holiday. Give me 2 weeks in one of them hotels, laughing.
Yeah.
Fellas, thanks very much. Thanks everyone for listening or watching. Thank you.
For all boxing info, news and latest interviews, amateur and pro, across the north, click and subscribe. VIP Boxing Promotions. Also Twitter, Instagram and Facebook.